Hi guys, Biker Paul here. Hope you're all well. So you join me then today on my way to Manhattan Motorcycles in Sheffield, where I'm going to be taking out the Royal Enfield Bear 650 for a first ride review and just to give you my initial impressions on the bike. So I've been waiting a while for this. If you've subscribed to my channel, you'll know that I did a little tour of the Manhattan Motorcycles dealership recently, and they've got the demo bike now, the Bear 650. They've had it a week or two, but the weather's been pretty poor. As you can see though, it's a beautiful sunny day today, so really looking forward to this one. I've never been on a Royal Enfield, so that's going to be a first for me as well. And yeah, we'll take the bike out and give you my initial thoughts and impressions, do a little walk around, and hope you enjoy the video. That's the bike there, the Royal Enfield Bear 650. This is a 249 colour scheme. First impressions, looks absolutely stunning. So yeah, we'll get on and take it for a spin. Awesome little TFT there, retro themed, but it's got all the information that you need, really clear, well laid out. Wow, sounds awesome, absolutely awesome. Lovely little deep tone there on the exhaust. So initial impressions then, it's nice and upright, nice wide bars, seat's fairly firm but it's comfortable, and nice riding position. No kind of strain on my wrists or anything like that. Like I said, that TFT is lovely. It's just so clear. It's not cluttered, and that's not always the case, especially with TFT dashes. I used to own a Triumph Street Triple, and it actually had a bigger dash than this. I think this one's a 4-inch screen. The Triumph, I believe, was 5 inches, and it was a different layout totally, and very, very cluttered. You couldn't really see the rev gauge at all, and just kind of too much information, and no matter which layout you selected, there was just too much going on. It wasn't legible, and yeah, never a fan of that. But this one is fantastic. You can see straight away clearly your fuel gauge, obviously your speed, the odometer. As you can see, this one's only done 43 miles, so this is the demo bike that's coming to Manhattan. They've only just got this one. They have also got a golden shadow colour variant that I've seen. I think that one may have been sold already, but they'll be getting stock of these in on a regular basis, and if I had to take my pick, I think that golden shadow one is kind of my pick of the bunch. I think that one looks awesome. But initial impressions, it's got a lovely smooth engine. It sounds fantastic. Obviously very different to the bike I've just got off, which is my Suzuki GSXS 1000. This puts out about 47 horsepower, I believe. My Suzuki, totally different bike obviously, that's around about 150. So I'm not going to try and compare the two, but this one's kind of on a different level of enjoyment. It's the kind of bike that you can just relax and take things in, but it's lovely and smooth as well, and I can imagine this would just be really enjoyable in the scenic twisty lanes, and even just to commute on there. I mean, so far as you can see, I'm just in regular traffic here, and it's perfectly smooth in terms of the acceleration. Obviously it takes a little bit of getting used to whenever you go from one bike to another, how quickly the bike accelerates and so on, but the gear selection is super smooth and slick. It's almost effortless, I would say. I'm obviously pulling the clutch because, as I'm aware, this one doesn't have a quick shift. It's not the kind of bike that needs quick shifters and fancy riding modes and things like that. It's very straightforward, simple but elegant, and that's kind of the whole ethos with Royal Enfields. They're very simple but they're well made, and they're the kind of bike that you can just get on and go. This one, it has switchable ABS, but again, like I say, it doesn't have riding modes or traction control, but then again, it doesn't really need it. It's not the kind of bike that is going to be accelerating, you know, 0 to 60 insane speeds and all that. That's obviously the realm of the sporty naked bikes, the sports bikes and so on. This is a kind of bike that's just a really, really enjoyable bike to ride. And so yeah, in this particular scenario, going steady in and out of traffic, it's fine. You know, I mean, most of this so far has been 15 mile an hour and under, and I've been on this bike, you know, 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes so, and it's so stable. It feels like I've owned this bike and I've been riding it forever, you know. I don't feel any kind of trepidation. I can get my feet down nice and easy. I'm around 6'1", so that obviously helps, but it's just such an easy bike to ride. Obviously, I can only give you my initial impressions. I've got this bike for a couple of hours today, but based on just from the dealership to where I am now, you know, lovely. It's really nice and light as well. I mean, I know it's not going to be the lightest bike in the world. I believe it's like a steel frame, and Royal Enfield don't aim to make their bikes the lightest. They're not going for, you know, out and out lightweight in terms of like sports bikes, you know, where everything's kind of magnesium and titanium and just stripping it down in terms of the weight on a constant mission for speed and acceleration and so on. Royal Enfield go down the route of the bikes being kind of solid as a rock, ultra reliable and just looking fantastic and a pleasure to ride, and that's what this is. So we're going to take it out onto some nice scenic roads, some twistier roads hopefully. Okay then, so we've got out onto some nice scenic roads here on the way to Castleton, and we can test it out a little bit more. So the engine is just so torquey, it's fantastic. It's just exactly where you want the power. So as soon as you set off, it's just there. You don't need to kind of get it into a higher rev range or anything like that. There's just power immediately available, and then you've got the tone of that exhaust in the engine. It's just such a lovely sounding machine. I would say initially the suspension is more on the firm side, but that's good anyway, especially when you're on roads like this. You don't really want it too soft. It's more confidence inspiring, I find, to be on a firmer side of the suspension spectrum than too soft. And I'm quite used to bikes that have got firm suspension. I've had a Triumph Street Triple RS, MT09, although the suspension on those bikes is not fantastic in all honesty. But yeah, especially with the Street Triple RS, that had firm suspension, and I find it, if anything, more confidence inspiring. It gives you more feel and more of a connection to the road. So suspension fairly firm, but it's not jolting. If you do hit any kind of bumps or imperfections in the road, it's not throwing you out of the seat or anything like that. So from a braking point of view then, it's a single disc up front with a bi-brake caliper, and they feel fine, perfectly suited to this kind of bike. I don't think you really need a twin disc setup with kind of the latest and greatest monoblock or Stylema calipers, you know, by Brembo. They're more reserved for your kind of super bikes and sporty naked bikes. They actually feel perfectly fine on this kind of bike. I'm not feeling at any point that there's not enough power or feel in the brakes. Obviously, it's only my first initial impressions ride, and I've only been out on the bike around 20-30 minutes or so. But in and out of traffic when I've had to stop and start, they're fine. And yeah, I wouldn't have any complaints about the brakes at all. I think they're well suited to this bike. The clutch lever, as we approach this like slower bend just here, yeah, great. I mean, going down the gears, fantastic. It's absolutely nothing, no effort in needed at all. I mean, I've got a quick shift on my bike, but more often than not I actually use the clutch. I just find probably force of habit, if anything. And the quick shifter, don't get me wrong, is fantastic. If you can get a bike with a quick shifter, then I would say just to try it out, it's worth it. But I think it's relevant to a certain kind of bike, and again, that's probably for me more of the sporty bikes, sporty naked bikes. I don't feel like this bike really needs a quick shifter. This is more a bike for enjoying the ride, taking the scenery in, going to and from work, and just having this lovely looking machine. I mean, it looks awesome. Obviously, design and style is subjective. I've always had a soft spot for scrambler bikes. I used to kind of at one point be really interested in the Ducati Desert Sled, and that was a bike that I was after for quite a while, and then I kind of changed into more naked bikes. But that kind of scrambler style setup and design, where you're looking at bikes like the Desert Sled, the Triumph Scrambler 900s, obviously you've got the smaller Triumphs now, the 400 range, but this kind of sits perfectly, and it doesn't really have kind of many rivals as such, because you've got the Triumph Scramblers, the 900, 1200s, obviously they're much higher in terms of price, over £9,000, £10,000, depending on the model and the spec. You've then got the Fantic Caballero, which is a 700 as I understand it. That's probably more closely related to this, with this being a 650. And then other than that, you've got the Ducati Scramblers, but again, there's an increase in price. Nothing is really close to this. This bike is under £7,000. In fact, all the colour variants of this particular Bear 650 are all under £7,000. So, and all the other bikes I've just mentioned, I believe, including the Fantic, I'd have to check the price of that, but certainly the Triumph and the Ducatis, they're all over £9,000. So it's kind of in a market of its own, really. And for me, if I could have two bikes in my garage, this would probably be the second. I mean, I know that kind of might seem like I'm gushing over this and going over the top. I've only just kind of got on it, but this is not just based on the ride, which is obviously so far it's fantastic, but the actual design of the bike. And when I saw this at the NEC and I went to Motorcycle Live, this was one of the bikes that really caught my eye. And there's a lot of bikes now coming out in the kind of scrambler sector, or the scrambler design. But yeah, I think this one, they've nailed it. I think in terms of the aesthetics and the price point, and that's really important. Here we are then, so I found a nice little spot to do a walk round, and we'll go over the features in a bit more detail. So this is the 249 colour scheme of the Bear. It looks fantastic, especially like this colour scheme and the golden shadow colour way. The name is inspired by the Big Bear Run, which took part in the California desert in 1960. And in terms of the engine then, so we've got a 648cc parallel twin engine. Puts out 47 brake horsepower with maximum torque of 56.5 newton meters at 5,150 rpm. I do like the fact that it's blacked out. It's kind of got this almost matte finish, which I think will be nice and easy to maintain and keep clean. It looks awesome. It's a steel frame. Obviously the engine and frame are based on the Interceptor 650 and the Continental GT range of bikes. There are some changes to this one, most notably the tripper dash. Obviously the way that the seat is designed, or the frame around the seat at the end there, and we've got these dual purpose 50/50 tyres. These are Nilo Rex tyres there. So the seat height is 830mm. Probably suggest a test ride and have a sit on one of these so you can get a feel for it yourself. The front fork are Showa forks, so these are 43mm upside down forks, inverted forks, and I would say set a little bit more on the firm side, but definitely no issues in terms of the ride. Really nice and stable, and it feels well planted in the corners. And the rear, we've got a twin rear shock setup, as you can see there. And the front wheel is 19-inch, so it's a 19-inch front wheel. Obviously got these lovely spoked rims, and the rear is a 17-inch. Yeah. In terms of the braking setup, so it's got a single disc caliper at the front. As you can see, it's the single disc setup with a bi-brake caliper there, 320mm discs. Okay. And at the back, around here, again bi-brake caliper, and that one is 270mm. It's got switchable ABS, and the fuel tank is 13.7 litres. These are all details and information that's found on the Royal Enfield site. Lovely kind of teardrop fuel tank. And I would say the one thing I've noticed is the fit and finish is fantastic. Paint seems really nice. I've not noticed anything at all where it looks like any corners have been cut. It looks really, really well made and finished, and just a beautiful looking bike. Nice that we've got this kind of fender extender on the front wheel there, so that'll keep a lot of the mud and spray off the radiator. It's fairly dry roads, but there are some damp patches, which is why you can see some flecks of mud there on these shocks. The colours available, we've got this 249 colour scheme. You've got the Wild Honey and the Golden Shadow. So there's 4 colours, I believe, in total. The prices start from £6,749, but all the different colour options all come under £7,000. And yeah, there's no particular rider modes on this or traction control, but it does have switchable ABS. Lovely at the back there, the indicators in this kind of retro themed brake light or retro styled brake light. And the as you can see, the pegs are nice and chunky, and this is lovely here around the dash. You've got this chrome kind of brace section here on the handlebars, nice wide bars. Obviously got the Royal Enfield branding there on the grips. Everything's nicely laid out, easy to reach and see. We've got LED lights front and rear on this. Oh yeah, just a beautiful bike, really, absolutely stunning. Okay, so this is a Tripper style dash, so it's a 4-inch TFT, looks fantastic. This is the one that's featured on the Himalayan 450, so the Royal Enfield Himalayan 450. And as you can see, you've got the rev counter there, fuel indicator, so it's split off into sections, gear indicator, and yeah, normal time, speed, odometer, usual functions that you'd expect to see. You can adjust or make adjustments using this little toggle switch down there. So as you can see, you can go on to the trip 1, trip 2, fuel range and so on, fuel consumption, your battery voltage. You can also adjust up here the a little button just there which lets you adjust the ABS. So every time I press that, we've got rider mode, ABS on and off. And this one really comes into its own when you pair your phone up to it. So this is obviously not something I'm going to do on this test ride, but if you were to purchase this bike for yourself, you can pair your phone up and then you get full Google Maps connectivity. So it literally will turn this TFT dash into Google Maps, so you can just set your destination from your phone and you get turn by turn navigation. So yeah, if it is flickering, that's not the actual TFT itself, it's just the way that the phone captures it. But absolutely fantastic in terms of its layout. I love the styling. Obviously you've got kind of a combination of retro themed with it being this round little screen, but it's got all the advantages of a modern TFT dash. So for me personally, I know the Interceptor I believe has a twin analog setup, but I'd actually rather have something like this because I think you can get more use out of a TFT as opposed to an analog. Everybody's different, but yeah, for me that's actually a massive positive to this bike, and it's not cluttered, it's so easy to read, and yeah, really nice. So this here is where you can put your key in to lift the seat up, and you've got a bit of under seat storage there. I don't think it's much, but you have to kind of put your key in and pull this down, so I'm not going to do that right now, but there is some under seat storage. But yeah, these are really chunky, which is good as well, and obviously kind of set up for a bit of a off-road purpose or a little bit of trail riding there, because they're very grippy and very solid. Everything feels so well made, and I love this 2-in-1 exhaust. It looks fantastic, especially with the fact it's nice and discreet and in this kind of blacked out style. I feel like, to be honest, it's not the kind of bike that you're going to be doing a lot of green laning on, but you know, it would probably do a little bit of light off-road trail green lane work. But let's face it, to be honest, most of the time this kind of bike is going to be out and about at the weekend, in the countryside, on the nice twisty roads, spot of commuting to and from work. It's fantastic for that because it's so easy to ride, lovely and light. It's A2 compliant, so it would actually suit a new rider, this, because it's just a simple get on and go bike. It's not overly complicated. They've not put a load of rider modes and quick shifters on and anything overly complex. It's just a kind of bike that you can get on and ride and enjoy, and that engine is just so torquey, just a beautiful engine. It sounds fantastic. We'll start it up again so you can have a listen. So absolutely fantastic, sounds incredible, and I don't necessarily feel like I need to look at an aftermarket exhaust. There are a lot of accessories that are available for this, so, and I kind of saw on the Royal Enfield site that one of the reasons it has this low down exhaust is to allow for soft panniers, which is in the accessory catalogue. And I know some scrambler bikes have the exhaust a little higher, but I think because this is mainly going to be road based, or the main use of this bike is for the road, with possibly, like I say, a very light use in terms of trail or green lane use, but really you're going to be probably looking more at the Himalayan bike, the Royal Enfield Himalayan 450, if you've got intentions of going, you know, off-road. This is a fantastic bike, I would say, for nice countryside style riding, and that's why they went with this silencer and exhaust that's a little bit lower down, so it allows then for rear panniers to be fitted. So we'll get back on the bike and take it back to Manhattan Motorcycles. As always, I'm not sponsored or endorsed by Manhattan in any way. They've kindly just offered to lend me this bike for a couple of hours so I can give you my thoughts and impressions, and hopefully this will be the first of many. We can take out some more bikes, maybe the Gorilla 450, maybe the Himalayan in future. And if you are interested, then do give Manhattan Motorcycles a call. It's a great team of guys there, a lot of knowledge on Royal Enfield bikes, and yeah, they're starting to really get into the swing of things. It's becoming very busy. When I went down there today, they had a Himalayan on the way out, and I saw that they've sold another version of this Bear 650, the Golden Shadow model, already. So do give them a call and they'll have a little look and go down and sit on one of these and take one out for a spin, because I would definitely recommend it. So in terms of my time on the bike then today, I think it's safe to say I fully enjoyed it, especially given that this is my first time on a Royal Enfield as well. It's been such a awesome day, fantastic weather and a brilliant bike. Like I say, it's super smooth to ride, really well made, fantastic engine, plenty of torque, and yeah, just really nice and enjoyable. And the fueling as well, I wanted to mention that before I forget, and that is really nice. There's no jerkiness on the throttle. It doesn't really matter what revs you're at, as long as you're in roughly the right gear. It's just smooth all the way through the gears, all the way through the revs. Super light clutch feel, super light on the brakes. And yeah, this is just a bike that you can have so much fun on, especially on a day like this. You know, lovely weather, scenic roads, a bike with plenty of torque. You never feel like you're wanting for power. Obviously I come from a really kind of fast, sporty naked bike in the Suzuki GSX-S 1000, and it's not kind of fair to compare the two, but at no point today have I felt like that this is struggling or that I want more power. It's just a lovely bike, and it's perfectly suited, this engine, to this kind of bike. It's just all about taking in the scenery, enjoying the day out. And you know, if you want to make progress, you can go at slow speeds, you can go quick. There's just no effort involved, and like I say, you don't have to sit at the side of the road tinkering with rider moves, traction control, launch control, cruise control, all that kind of stuff. You just get on and ride. And in all honesty, most of the time on my own Suzuki that does have rider modes, I don't use them. It's just kind of stuck in A mode all the time. That's the most powerful one. I've never really felt the need to take it down a notch, and I'm not saying that there's no need for them on bikes at all, but I just think it's relevant to the kind of bike, and this kind of bike, it doesn't need that. And that's why Royal Enfield are able to put these out at such a fantastic price, because they're not wasting time on functions and tech that it doesn't need. And that Tripper Dash, again, I can't fault it at all. It's so easy to read and so easy to use, and it's overall just a lovely, comfortable bike. I've been out on it 2 hours today, and not once have I felt any aches in my joints or that the seat is kind of too firm. It is a little firm, and like I say, you could always get the accessory seat for that, but it's not to the point where I feel like I need to get off. It's just in comparison to my own bike, which has an unusually kind of soft and plush seat, especially for a sporty naked bike. This one's just a little bit firmer than what I'm used to, but again, it's no problem at all. And yeah, it's a beautiful bike. I mean, this would be a pleasure to open your garage and just to see this sat there, and hopefully we get a lot more days like this, because this is perfect for this kind of bike on a nice Sunday. Take it out into the countryside, and then in the week, you know, you can take it out and do your commute on it. Just an overall fantastic bike. So again, we're going to take it back to Manhattan's. If you've got any questions, please ask away in the comments. The guys at Manhattan know their stuff, so by all means give them a call. They'll be able to go through all the details with you and pop along, you know, pay them a visit. They've got an excellent range of bikes. They've got a nice little clothing area upstairs in their dealership, and I did actually do a video on my channel, which I know a lot of you have seen. It's had over 10,000 views, which is amazing really. But if you've not seen that before, then check it out, because I do a tour of the Manhattan Motorcycles dealership, and I speak to Steve, who's a sales guy there, and it'll give you a bit of an insight into how they operate. And it's pretty much the only dealership now in Sheffield that you can buy a brand new bike across any manufacturer, especially in terms of road bikes. A lot of the bike dealerships have kind of fell by the wayside or moved to other cities and so on. So yeah, definitely make use of them, and this I can't recommend enough. Definitely take the Bear 650 out if you've got any kind of interest in this whatsoever, just to see for yourself. It's okay me obviously talking about it, I've only had it a couple of hours today, but you need to have a go and take it for a spin, because I'm really impressed. And I kind of had in my mind that maybe it would be with Enfields in the past, you know, your kind of old reputation, or the a bit kind of slow plodding bikes. Absolutely not at all. This is perfect, plenty of torque, plenty of power, and it's just a joy to ride. And I feel like I've been riding this for ages, you know. I don't feel like I've just got on it today, and I feel that if I was to buy one of these, put it in my garage, it'd probably get just as much, if not more, use than my Suzuki, because this is a more easygoing bike. You don't have to be kind of wringing its neck, and it's not egging you on, and you're not getting to silly speeds all the time, which can happen on some of the sportier naked bikes that I'm used to. This is much more easygoing, more chilled out, but enjoyable. It's just a fantastic bike. So again, hopefully you've enjoyed the video. Feel free to give it a like and subscribe for more videos coming soon.